Daniel Radcliffe is here. For many fans, he was the face of the Harry Potter films. He has moved beyond into roles that range from a dancing con man in the musical How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying to Allen Ginsberg in the film Kill Your Darlings. His latest character is in the revival of Martin McDonagh's The Cripple of Inishmen. He plays a disabled Irish orphan who dreams of better life and of falling in love. Ben Brantley of the New York Times calls it, quote, his most satisfying stage work to date. I'm pleased to have Daniel Radcliffe back at this table. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Tell me what you said to me as you sat down about if you were in a Martin McDonagh play.
Yeah.
Your role is to
simply not
screw it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all you have to. I mean, because people, you know, I'm meeting lots of people backstage at the moment after seeing the show, and everyone's saying the same thing, which is that, you know, on the whole, people really enjoy the play and have a great time and a great experience. And the thing I always say is we are just incredibly lucky to be doing such a fantastic play. You know, I feel like a lot of the time actors have to try and sometimes you know, they strive to kind of elevate the material to more than it is, and actually with the play this good, like, all we have to do is, as you said, not screw it up.
What makes it great?
I think what makes this play great is it pulls off a very tricky balancing act between two totally different tones. It's both incredibly cruel and brutal and sad in some ways in terms of Billy's life and the way people treat each other, and yet it is also kind of laugh a minute, and Martin keeps you laughing and really laughing, like from your belly, and laughs that you don't see coming, and sort of, you know, takes your breath away with laughter, you know, throughout the play. And I think there's that sort of sweet spot between, you know, because Martin's characters are all such, you know, they're big characters. My Auntie Kate talks to stones, and Johnny Bahatine is the village drunk and gossip, and they're all kind of larger than the village newsman, and they're all kind of larger than life characters. But if you play them in the kind of grounded way that I hope we are, it hits a kind of sweet spot between the sort of heightened nature of his plays and a real reality, which sort of has an emotional impact, I hope.
Tell me who Billy is.
Billy Claven is the character I play, and he is, as you say, an orphan, and he's never had any information, or his life has been brutal and sad in some ways in terms of Billy's life and the way people treat each other, and yet it is also kind of laugh a minute, and Martin keeps you laughing and really laughing, like from your belly, and laughs that you don't see coming, and sort of, you know, takes your breath away with laughter, you know, throughout the play. And I think there's that sort of sweet spot between, you know, because Martin's characters are all such, you know, they're big characters. My Auntie Kate talks to stones, and Johnny Bahatine is the village drunk and gossip, and they're all kind of larger than the village newsman, and they're all kind of larger than life characters. But if you play them in the kind of grounded way that I hope we are, it hits a kind of sweet spot between the sort of heightened nature of his plays and a real reality, which sort of has an emotional impact, I hope.
Tell me who Billy is.
Billy Claven is the character I play, and he is, as you say, an orphan, and he's never had any information, or his life has been a mass of swirling rumours about the circumstances of his parents' death. Were they trying to abandon him? Were they setting off to America in hopes they would, you know, send back for him? And he has no idea, and so he sort of grows up with a sense of maybe he was never wanted. And also because of the disability he lives with, I mean, that leads people to treat him in a manner of which, unfortunately, people with disability were often treated in the 1930s. And he's not only is he dismissed, and are his dreams and his aspirations sort of dismissed, but also just the way he's treated is sort of a pretty relentless.
What's his disability?
Well, in the script, it's very, Martin, I think, left it deliberately vague so that any actor coming in could sort of put their own interpretation on that. The line of stage direction that describes him is Billy enters the room, one bad arm and one bad leg shuffling. And that's sort of all you have to go on. And then I, with one of my vocal coaches, went through the script and kind of identified certain clues that Martin gives, like, you know, this is something that was that Billy was born with, this is something that affects the one side of his body. There are certain things, and rather than just doing something generalized, I wanted to make it something specific so that I could really learn about it and have an actual physicality to base the part on. And so I started researching into a branch of cerebral palsy called hemiplegia, which is what I determined Billy could have.
The interesting thing here about disability is that it means he shuffles, and that in the beginning is a kind of hindrance to his desire for a relationship.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think his desire for anything is sort of because people refuse to see him as anything but a disability. People don't see him as a young man with aspirations to be in film or a young man with aspirations to kiss a girl. They don't see any of that, and I think that's, you know, in talking to people who live with various disabilities. I didn't just talk to people who had CP or who lived with hemiplegia or anything like that. I tried to talk to as many people as I could, and the thing that came up again and again was that the frustration at the disconnect between how people perceive you and how you know yourself to be is really, I think, one of the most isolating things to live with, and something that I felt was, you know, a kind of key to where Billy is in the story.
One character says to him, "You're too kind-hearted. That is your trouble, cripple Billy."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Billy is very kind-hearted, but he also does pull off one of the greater, I won't say what it is, but one of the greater acts of manipulation and deceit in the play.
Yeah, exactly.
So he is, you know, I particularly don't like to in any way play Billy as a victim, because he's not. He's really smart. And he is compassionate, and he is kind-hearted, and one of the reasons I love him is that he has all those things despite how people treat him. He's been showing very little compassion, and yet he still has so much to give. But it's unfair to say he is a complete innocent.
Helen is played by Sarah Green.
Yes.
And tell me about the relationship and what happens to Sarah so that she changes her impression.
Helen is a wonderfully complicated character, because she is, on the one hand, you know, when she first comes in, she storms onto the stage and dominates the place. You know, all the men are slightly scared of her, all the women are slightly scared of her. But she is, you know, as a few of the characters are in this play, she is a child of abuse, and she has suffered, and a lot of her bravado is covering up for fear and intense vulnerability that she doesn't want to show. And in terms of Billy, I think, you know, Billy's the only one who... Billy says towards the end of the play, he talks about all the boys who laughed at him at school and all the girls who cried if he even spoke to them. And Helen would have done neither of those things. She wouldn't have laughed at him, or she might have done, but she certainly wouldn't have cried. And I think he's always been in love with her. And it's the hopeless love story of the thing where she's just kind of horrible to him, and he loves her nonetheless.
That lovely line when he says, you know, there were many reasons to come back to Ireland, but I had one reason to come back. Yeah,
he says he basically doesn't... He says I mean, that's the thing, Billy... you know, goes to America and comes back, and you know, she is the only thing he misses about the island, and I think she's the only thing that really makes the idea of a long-term life there bearable for him.
Roll tape. Here's a scene with Billy and Helen.
Are you not stepping out with anyone at the moment, so?
I'm not.
Me, I've never been kissed.
Of course you've never been kissed. You're a funny-looking cripple boy.
It's funny. When I was in America, I tried to think about all the things I'd miss about home if I'd had to stay in America. Would I miss the scenery, I thought? The stone walls and the lanes and the green and the sea. No, I wouldn't miss it. Would I miss the food? The peas, the praties, the peas, the praties and the peas. No, I wouldn't miss that. Would I miss the people?
Is this speech going to go on for more long?
I've nearly finished it. What was my last bit? You put me off.
Would I miss the people?
Would I miss the people? Well, I'd miss me aunties, or a bit I'd miss me aunties. I wouldn't miss Babby Bobby with his lead stick, or Johnny Patine with his daft news, or all the lads used to laugh at me at school, or all the lasses used to cry if I even spoke to them. Thinking over it, if Inishmaan sank in the sea tomorrow and everybody on it up and drowned, there isn't especially anybody I'd really miss. Anybody other than you, that is, Helen.
You'd miss the cows you go staring at.
No, that cow business was blown up out of all proportion. Look, what I was trying to build up to, Helen, was...
Oh, was you trying to build up to something, Cripple Billy?
You and I were watching this, and this has happened before. You almost wanted to do this.
Yeah. Because it's, you know, that's a filmed performance on a stage, which is absolutely one of, if I could put something into a Room 101 style time capsule and ensure it just vanishes from existence, it would be filming theatre. Yeah. Because it always, you're giving a performance that's for the size of a theatre, and you're speaking to the back of the room. You're speaking vocally to the back of the room, so it looks, I think, always unnatural. Because, like, if you were filming that scene, I'd be speaking like this volume now, or the volume I was speaking now.
But it seems to me that I've thought about this. It seems to me there must be a way, and I agree with you, so that you could have the audio at the back of the room, so that the projection of it wouldn't be that a little bit jarring.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a very good idea. Well, we'll try that.
No,
but it is. I've never found a solution to it.
You're projecting.
Yeah, you're projecting,
and therefore lacks intimacy.
Yeah, precisely, and it's a very intimate scene.
Yeah. So there is an interesting thing about him is that the dreams of Hollywood.
Yeah.
For all that he suffers in terms of assaults on his dignity, perhaps you'd say.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't destroy his dream.
Well, I mean, I think the film coming to Inishmaan in the 1930s, or to Inishmore, the neighbouring island, is absolutely the most exciting thing that has ever happened there. And
Hollywood directors arrived.
Yeah, and by many estimations, it's probably still one of the more exciting things that has happened to the island. You know, it was a really big moment in that island's history, and. But I think more than a love of film, it's an escape. It's a chance to get off the island and not only join this film industry, but actually be taken back to America. Yeah. And that, I think, ultimately, because, you know, Billy, I think, views America as a lot of people, particularly at that time, viewed America as, you know, a place of tolerance and of tolerance of difference. So I think he thinks, you know, I may not be treated in the same way.
He doesn't want to be called Cripple Billy.
He doesn't want to be called Cripple Billy.
And he wants to define himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this will be a fresh start to define himself.
I think that's the thought, and it's that's one of the many tragedies in the play, is that his experience of America does not go as he wanted it to.
Ben Brantley, in reviewing this for the New York Times, said it's a story about how and why we tell stories.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really interesting part of the play, and it's really facilitated in some way by Johnny Patine. You know, the number of stories Billy has heard about his parents and about his birth and the circumstances around it have grown to shape and define his life and really trap him. And then, you know, by the telling of another story near the end of the play, he is briefly set free from that. And so I think that's a really, you know, I think it sometimes takes a reviewer to come in and see an overarching theme in a play that you may have forgotten after doing it for 8 months.
No matter how discomforting it is, let me just show another piece, because
no
this is where Babby Bobby is going to take him to the casting.
Oh, right, yeah, scene 3, okay,
and doesn't really want to take him to the casting. Roll tape, here it is.
How did you hear tell of Helen and Bartley's travelling?
Helen told me.
Helen told you? Geez, and I told Helen she'd get a punch if she let anyone in on the news.
I hear she's paying you in kisses for this boat trip.
She is? And sure, I didn't want paying it all. 'Twas Helen insisted on that clause.
What? Wouldn't you want to kiss Helen, so?
I get a bit scared of Helen, I do. She's awful fierce. Why? Would you like to kiss Helen, Cripple Billy?
Well, I can't see Helen ever wanting to kiss a boy like me anyways. Can you, Bobby?
No.
But so you'd have took the McCormicks without payment at all?
I would. I wouldn't mind having a look at this filming business myself. What harm in taking passengers along?
Would you take me as a passenger too, so?
No.
Why now?
I've no room.
You've plenty of room.
A crippled fella's bad looking a boat and everybody knows.
Since when now?
Since Potchy and Larry took a crippled fella in his boat and it sank.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, Babby Bobby.
Or if he wasn't a crippled fella, he had a bad leg on him anyway.
You're just prejudiced against cripples is all you are.
I'm not at all prejudiced against cripples. I did kiss a crippled girl one time. Not only crippled, but disfigured too. I was drunk, I didn't mind. You're not spoiled for pretty girls in Antrim.
And don't go changing the subject on me.
Big green teeth, What subject?
The subject of taking me to the filming with you.
I thought we closed that subject.
We'd hardly opened that subject.
Sure, what do you want to go to the filming for? They wouldn't want the cripple boy.
You don't know what they want.
I don't, I suppose.
This is, when you look at this play and you look at the times you've been on Broadway 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a case that you'll always come to Broadway or you'll always come to the stage if somebody shows you an interesting role like Martin McDonagh?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always thought, you know, stage is somewhere I get, like, I learn and I get better on stage, and yeah, it's always been, ever since Equus, it's been something that I've just taken a huge amount from, and I hope that I'll keep coming back to it again and again. I want, you know, all the actors I grew up admiring and, you know, still admire are people who mix both stage and screen, so I hope I can keep managing to do that.
Speaking of people you admire, you also admire Michael Fassbender.
I do, but not to quite the level. I'm not like making life decisions based on it. But I do, yeah, I admire his career greatly, of course.
Yeah. Well, in terms of his choice of roles.
Well, in terms of his choice of roles, and in terms of the fact that, you know, he's just I think he's a fantastic actor who mixes, you know, huge commercial movies with more indie sort of stuff, but there's never, you know, there's never a drop-off in quality, just as, you know, as with James McAvoy, who I was lucky enough to work with recently, and you know, a lot of actors that I do admire, that there's, I don't think they ever just take the easy way. They're always looking to push themselves, they're always looking to do interesting, challenging material.
Did your parents imbue you with this interest in theatre?
I think so, probably. I think I was taken to a lot of theatre as a kid, so I think I always viewed theatre as a part of acting that I would one day want to explore. As if I was going to be an actor, then theatre's just a part of that. You know, I viewed it as sort of intrinsic to the nature of it, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I think film will always be my first love and my first kind of home, because I did grow up there and it's what I know very well. But I definitely will hopefully keep coming back to theatre to learn.
Kill Your Darlings. You played Allen Ginsberg.
I did, yes.
I mean, it must be an exciting journey just to try to get inside his head.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, but it was particularly exciting to try and get inside a sort of 17, 18-year-old Ginsberg's head, which is, I felt like it was less sort of public domain property, that age of Ginsberg, than all the other, because he wasn't famous then, and I felt we all felt, I think, a little more licensed because we were playing these guys before they had, you know, become massive celebrities and stars.
And you have a film coming out called What If?
Yes.
What is What If?
What If is a really smart, sweet romantic comedy, and a very funny one. It's about my character Wallace is kind of heartbroken and a bit lovesick, meets this girl called Chantry at a party. They immediately hit it off, and he sort of fancies her immediately, but then she reveals she's got a boyfriend, and then they end up sort of just deciding to become friends while he absolutely is in denial of the fact that he's fallen head over heels in love with her. And I feel like most romantic comedies dispense with the complexities of life because they make the storytelling difficult, whereas in this I feel like we've kept a lot of the richness and complexities of those relationships, because things shouldn't be easy in a romantic comedy because they very rarely are in life.
Exactly. Here's a clip from What If.
That was supposed to be an anonymous fridge magnet poem.
And here I am quietly judging you.
Oh, I can handle it. I've humiliated myself much more thoroughly.
Here it is.
Hi.
Oh, did you guys meet?
Kind of, yeah.
Wallace,
Hi.
This is my cousin Chantry.
Hi.
Chantry. This is my college roommate Wallace.
You're Wallace.
Yep.
This is the first time he's been outside in like a year.
Wow. Hi, you do look pale. I just assumed you were like anemic or partially albino.
It's both, actually.
He's been hibernating like an adorable little bear cub because of his broken heart.
Oh.
Please stop telling people that and stroking my face.
Who's the actress?
And that's Zoe Kazan.
Oh, Elia Kazan's granddaughter.
Yes, indeed, yeah. And a fantastic writer and actress. And, yeah, it's, you know, very easy to play sort of having a crush on Zoe.
Thank you for coming.
Cool. Thank you very
Pleasure
much.
to see you.
Pleasure, thank you.
The Cripple of Inishmaan, starring Mr. Radcliffe, at the Court Theatre through July 20th. Back in a moment. Stay with us.